What is going on, Governor Chisgule here, and today we're bringing you an update to the legendary tier list. That's right, we created this a long time ago, about 3 months. Card will be up in the top for the original video. You should check it out, but today we're going to update the legendary tier list for a few new commanders. We've got some folks that have subsequently been added to the game since the last time we made the list. That includes Khan, and it also includes Alexander the Great, Ethelfled, and Charlemagne. In addition, we are informing everything we've learned based on our experience in KvK, which was extensive. If you like videos where we help you figure out which legendary commanders are literally the very best for any specific thing, you should like and subscribe, because we're really passionate about optimizing the heck out of our commanders. We are a sponsored creator with Rise of Kingdoms. My friends, before we get into the list itself, it is important that we talk to you about how to read the darn thing. So, when we've ranked commanders, we have used the following scale. At the S tier means savage. It's the very strongest. There's only one S plus per category, and that indicates the literal very best for that category. A means absolutely use this commander for this activity. B is better than most. C could be better, but maybe use a different commander. D is don't use this commander for this activity, and F is freaking don't use this commander. We're using pluses or minuses next to each of these designations to show if it's a little bit stronger or maybe a little bit weaker. The categories that we have evaluated these commanders across, and I'll flash across the screen now, the list itself is as follows. We are evaluating, first of all, with an overall rating. Where does this commander sit relative to everybody else, in my opinion? And I have tried to put these in order from top to bottom. The next category that we look at, and it's very important that I mention that you really should be looking at commanders by category, not overall rating. Overall rating gives you a high-level sense of where I think they sit. However, you should be looking to hire specific commanders for specific things. Those categories include city defense, barbarians and barbarian forts, the open field, specifically for open field combat against other players, rallying cities, rallying objectives such as passes, holy sites, flags, and defending objectives. Those are the categories upon which we have evaluated. We also have included up arrows and down arrows to show whether or not a commander has improved or dropped in ranking since we last ranked them. You'll notice that Khan has some arrows, and Khan is at the top of the list, and that is because I think between when we made our last video and today, we actually did drop Khan onto this list, and I will have a link in the description where you can check out this spreadsheet yourself, which you should do because we update this thing periodically, even when we haven't made a video about it, to reflect our latest thinking on these commanders. Okay, my friends, let's start with the overall ranking. Overall, I think Khan as a new entrant is freaking spectacular. The reason I am so hooked on Khan right now, and this will reflect in the ratings, is that he is a part of the literal very best rallying combo in the game. That is Khan and Cao Cao as the secondary. If you're hitting an objective, this is what you should be using, and I don't know how to combat that other than maybe trying to counter it. Maybe. I don't even know that countering it with Richard Charles and bringing full infantry can even counter it all that effectively. This is, in my opinion, the very best commander in the game at this moment in time for rallying objectives, and is also really strong in the open field. The thing that makes Khan tick is this second skill, which I've already highlighted, reducing the rage requirement by 100, and the fact that they already have a rage requirement of 950 instead of 1,000 on the active skill. Every other commander has 1,000 here. So Khan is my very top pick, followed by Yi Seong-Gye, Richard L. Cid, and Saladin as really, really top tier commanders for a number of reasons, and we will get into those reasons. Overall, Khan has risen in rankings since I last took a look at him, as has El Cid, because my goodness, is El Cid really quite exceptional for rallying and defending objectives. Saladin has slightly decreased in the rankings, and that is because Khan has replaced him as an S+. In a similar vein, Julius Caesar and Minamoto have remained steady in the rankings, whereas I feel that Barca and Frederick have dropped down slightly compared to other options that are available to you. Charlemagne is entering at an A. Cao Cao has bumped up slightly. That is because he is a part of the very best rallying combo in the game, which we will talk about. And Ethelfled is coming in my opinion, at an A-. Again, crucial for her role in doing tremendous debuffs, but otherwise, just fine. Just fine. Okay, that covers the overall ratings. Let's dive right into the details, because the devil's in the details, and the details matter tremendously. First up, let's take a look at city defense. Now, for city defense, in my opinion, nothing has actually changed. We've got a couple new entrants. Charlemagne, I drop in as, let's see here, a C. Where are you at, Charlemagne? Oh yeah, up the top. I need to unlock you. Charlemagne's coming in at a C, in my opinion. Alexander the Great coming in at a C-. And Ethelfled coming in at a C. These are fine commanders, but they're just not designed for city defense. Don't use them for that. In my opinion, Constantine is likely to be the very best, and we'll see how that plays out now that Mighty Governor has made him available. Yi Seong-Ye and Richard I still are, in my opinion, the very best garrison commanders, and I would say Charles Martel follows along really closely, although a bunch of what Charles Martel is offering is better in the open field. So I have Charles Martel at an S-. It's entirely possible that Yi Seong-Ye with Richard is the very best combo, although there's no synergy between them. I personally still have Charles Martel with Yi Seong-Ye secondary on the wall. The very next category is Barbarians and Forts. And again, little has changed in this category. We can get a look at our new entrants. Alexander the Great I've listed as a B because, you know what, if you're running around with a bunch of armies, even though he doesn't offer anything related to barbarian killing, I really like that you get the march speed, which is cool if you're bringing full infantry. They really need that. And also, the shielding's really nice, and the debuffing of multiple targets is really nice. I think Alexander the Great's fine for running around killing barbarians. Of course, better than Alexander the Great is Ethelfled, who we've listed as S tier, and that is because Ethelfled has got a sweet boost to the damage to barbarians, along with an experience boost, and you can bring more troops if you're going to rally something, which I think is pretty handy. She's also got AoE to aggro more barbarians. Overall, however, I don't know. I mean, like, your best combo in the game for rallying something is still going to be Minamoto Cao Cao from a barbarian standpoint. We've listed Charlemagne as a B, and nothing particularly noteworthy on that front. Up next is a category that I think is really exciting, and that is the open field. This is where we've really boosted Khan up. We've made him an S. We didn't have him at S tier before. We love the march speed for getting around the field. I don't love that you're slowed. When you start to get beaten down. However, he just does so much work with the reduced rage to use the active skills that it just melts, folks. It's unbelievable. For that reason, we've elevated him to an S. We have a slight decrease in effectiveness, at least decrease in ranking in the open field, and that is El Cid. I used El Cid a lot in KvK, and I found that he's really good, and I love that my archers do get some additional march speed, but I found myself really wishing that I had an AoE commander as a secondary to Yi Seong-Ye, which is not what El Cid is doing. And any time I was running around with a murder ball, if I got below 50%, I wasn't staying out to take advantage of this skill. I was running back home. So I felt like I wasn't really taking advantage of this skill anyways, and I'd rather have a commander that could bring me a little bit more. Even in most instances, I found that Sun Tzu might have been a better pairing with Yi Seong-Ye, which is saying something. So I've bumped him down to an A plus. If he was the only army you were bringing, a single army to the open field, then it would probably be more valuable to you. But in the end game, you're bringing a lot of marches potentially, and so that's not really reflective of how you play the game. Saladin still remains at an S plus, in my opinion, and that is because, in part, he's got a lot of anti-swarm technology, which is something that we're going to be talking about a fair amount in this video. When I say anti-swarm technology, what I mean is skills or talents that make you more effective when you're getting attacked by many players. He's got talents that help with this and skills. If I jump up to talents, you could grab emergency protection. When troops led by this commander take skill damage, there's a 50% chance they gain additional skill damage reduction, which is really good. Not to mention the additional skill damage taken reduction already baked into the skills. I think Saladin is still really exceptional in the open field, and I would not change that ranking. However, I did bump up my opinion of Julius Caesar, and that is because of Julius Caesar's anti-swarm technology in the form of the second skill. I underrated just how good anti-swarm technology would be, and so I would actually rate this quite nicely, that being able to reduce the damage that you're taking based on your being attacked is actually quite powerful. Bumped him up to an A. In a similar vein, we have slightly elevated our estimation of Frederick I in the open field. We really undervalued having more troops in general, and we undervalued the heal slightly, I think. And so we've bumped Frederick I up to an A minus. Now, the new entrant into this category that should get your attention is Alexander the Great at an S. Yeah, I mean, Alexander the Great is doing serious work in the open field and honestly was a contender for S+. Here's why. Here's why. First of all, you're shielding an ally, which is magnificent. You got a lot of staying power, which I think is really great. We don't even know what this second skill does. I mean, we probably do, but it doesn't list it, which is a little bit silly, but we really like the march speed. We're just sort of assuming the second skill is good. Yeah. And the thing that really tips us over for this commander in the open field is that when the active skill is used, it increases the damage taken by nearby enemies up to 3 of them by 30% for 4 seconds. That is massive. That is massive. I don't know a lot of debuffs that increase damage taken by an enemy. Certainly not by 30%. So we're really happy with that debuff, and Alexander the Great is really quite exceptional in the open field. That is the place you want to be using them. Yeah, love everything about that. Moving further down the list, our new entrant, Charlemagne, we put at it as a B. Charlemagne is really oriented toward leading rallies and attacking cities, so not too surprising that I don't think they're great. In fact, that's the lowest rating I gave to any commander for the open field, so that's saying something. That's saying something. They do have some anti-swarm technology here in the form of this second skill, but they don't get around the battlefield. They don't have extra march speed. And, you know, this fourth skill gets more effective when you're getting beaten down, which is really great in a rally and really terrible in the open field because you want to go back to town anyways once you hit the point at which you're really getting maximum benefit from this skill. We have also listed Ethelfled as an A- as a new entrant to this category. Ethelfled is offering a massive debuff. We love the support tree. However, overall, I think she's just fine. In the open field. I wouldn't put her in the S category, even though I love a lot of what she's doing. And I think that someone must bring her. In fact, probably several free-to-play players should be bringing her. But I wouldn't put her in the same tier as Minamoto, Khan, Alexander the Great, Charles Martel, or Cao Cao. Those folks are all doing really magnificent stuff in the open field. That she's close. She's really close, really important, but I wouldn't quite rank her there. The next category we're going to look at is rallying cities, and we believe that Mehmed II is still the king of this category. However, we have added Charlemagne as an S tier for this category. The reason that we feel that Mehmed II is more effective than Charlemagne is that Mehmed II is all about doing extra damage to cities. All about doing extra damage to cities. And while you're getting some of that benefit from Charlemagne, we really find this last skill to be somewhat disappointing, reducing the number of troops that will die, because I would rather have a skill that actually does damage or healing or anything that makes it so that you'd have fewer troops die because you're more awesome on the battlefield. So I think this is cute, but not great. I think that everything else here is good, but I don't think they outpace our good friend Mehmed II for rallying cities. There are a couple commanders whose opinion I think has shifted for me, and that is Yi Seong-Gye. I bumped it up a little bit. Because his AoE is great anti-swarm technology, and man, rallies are getting swarmed left, right, and center in KvK, so that anti-swarm technology is real for Yi Seong-Gye. That comes in the form of doing damage to everybody nearby. It changes the way that reinforcing can be done. It also is a huge deterrent to the enemy to be hitting your rally with, for instance, a Hannibal Barca and Hannibal Barca and Ethelfled to try to be debuffing the rally, right? It gives your rally a little bit of protection, but only a little bit. We just bumped it up to a B+. Our opinion of Hannibal Barca and Freddy has dropped slightly, whereas our opinion of Julius Caesar has remained the same. We dropped our opinion of Freddy and Barca because they actually don't have anti-swarm technology, and it's really quite needed. So we felt that they're actually slightly below the effectiveness of Saladin, who has anti-swarm technology, as well as Julius Caesar. Overall, this category changed very little, although we like the entrant of Charlemagne as a city-hitting monster. I imagine you would want to be pairing Mehmed II with Charlemagne and do some pretty serious work. The next category is critically important, and that is rallying objectives. This is arguably the single most important category on the list, in particular for hitting flags. Number one category, most important thing, at least for the people that are leading the rallies, right? And so not everybody needs to have these commanders and these configurations, but boy, do you sure want someone in your alliance who has prioritized some of these commanders. Let's talk about who they are. We have elevated to the top our good friend Genghis Khan. Let me tell you, Khan with Cao Cao is the very best, most scary rally combo in the game. However, all it takes is for one single non-cavalry unit to be brought to that rally, and the effectiveness is diminished profoundly. You have to bring all cavalry. Your players need to be paying attention, but if they are, the reward is there. We have elevated our opinion of Yi Seong-Gye for rallying objectives, and that is because of the anti-swarm technology in the form of AoE, and in particular the circle AoE. Really quite exceptional. It changes the way that your opponent needs to think about the way they defend. We've also elevated our estimation of El Cid to S tier. The combination of Yi Seong-Gye with El Cid was just devastating because of this fourth skill, which is reducing the effectiveness, or rather, is increasing the damage you deal by 25%. I also really like reducing the effectiveness of infantry, which I wanted to talk about, because a really good combo for defending is Richard and Charles, and not only do I think Yi Seong-Gye with El Cid is better, but it also counters that combo, which is really quite strong. We have, however, slightly decreased our estimation of some commanders. We think that Hannibal Barca we had slightly overrated, at least compared to the options that we have today. I've bumped him down to S-. He doesn't have a lot of anti-swarm technology. He does have an AoE, which is forward-facing, but of course you can make your way around that simply by using free movement to get behind this army. I think it's a really great commander still, and I will be using him sometimes. However, I dropped my estimation of him slightly. I've also slightly dropped my estimation of Frederick I. I didn't feel like he was amazing in a lot of the situations where I wanted to be using him. And for that reason, I bumped him down slightly. Obviously, he would be better with his expertise skill, and this list assumes that all of these commanders are expertise. Um, However, I think that the lack of anti-swarm technology and lack of AoE really is not amazing. I did, however, leave Julius Caesar at an S minus, and that was because of the anti-swarm technology that is available. I do think he's still slightly less impressive than Yi Song-Ye, Richard, or El Cid for rallying objectives. Um, you know, I will say, I have Richard as an S for rallying objectives. However, I want to be really careful with my recommendation there. I think the healing is really great on offense, but I would rather be doing damage to minimize the amount of time that they have to defend the darn thing, because you can only reinforce your rally so much. So I've got Richard as an S, but I might need to bump that down to an S minus. I don't know. Richard was not the commander that we were turning to for rallying stuff, so I might need to change my estimate of that, actually. I might by the time this video has gone live, updated my list, link in the description online that anybody can go and see, with an S minus. That's possible. That's possible. And let's mention the new commanders. Alexander the Great, we think is cool, but is not the best for rallying stuff. He should be nearby so that hopefully you get that 30% damage reduction or damage taken increase to the thing that you're rallying. So I think he should be nearby, but he's not the person that should be in the rally. We've got him at, it looks like B+. We've got Ethelfled at a B again. You might want the AoE to try to hit the defending structure, but you really don't want this person to be in the rally, even though she can elevate the number of folks that are in the rally, which I think is cool. I do think that's cool. I just don't think that she is the top tier for leading that rally. And, Charlemagne is certainly worth mentioning here as a new entrant. Charlemagne, we brought in at an S minus, and that is because almost every skill is relevant. Almost every skill is relevant. This plot maneuvers skill, 10% attack and defense, is freaking amazing. Unfortunately, the expertise skill isn't relevant here. If it was, we'd put this commander at S tier for rallying objectives. I'm eager to try them out and see what we really think. I do feel that this first skill is a little underpowered at 1400 damage factor, but I do love, love, love the anti-swarm technology found in Happy Home, which is going to put up a shield periodically when you're being attacked. You basically have a 10% chance when you are attacked to gain that shield. So the more people attacking you, the more frequently that shield will go off. But I assume there is some internal cooldown there. So that new entrant at S minus leaves us with Charlemagne, Barca, Julius Caesar, El Cid, Richard, Yi Song-Ye, and Khan as being some of the very best for rallying objectives. We did have Cao Cao on this list, and we bumped him up slightly from where he was to a B+, and that is simply because of that combo with Khan and Cao Cao. That's really one of the only situations where we think you should be bringing a Cao Cao. That is largely, by the way, because he is super vulnerable to being swarmed, because he's decreasing your defense, and because you're constrained to bringing only cavalry. Okay, let's get a look at defending objectives, which is also one of the most important categories on this list for KvK specifically. And at the S+ tier, we have bumped Yi Song-Ye all the way up to the top. We've elevated our opinion of Yi Song-Ye, and that is because Yi Song-Ye's AoE kills folks that may not even be hitting the flag itself, or may not even be hitting the structure at all, which is unbelievable how powerful that is. The amount of incidental free value kills we got from the AoE from Yi Seong-Ye was just staggering, sometimes doubling the number of kills we were getting in a defense. This commander changes the way your opponents have to play, which is freaking crucial. Crucial. There's also huge opportunity for synergy with other commanders by virtue of elevating the damage dealt by skills and the rage generation. Super crucial. We've also bumped up Khan on this list. Khan with Cao Cao would be the S tier, except Yi Seong-Ye is better. We've also still got Richard I on this list in his same position at S with with all infantry and A- if you've got a mixed group. And El Cid, we've got as a solid S. I mean, the combination of Yi Seong-Ye with El Cid is just insane. We undervalued this commander pretty substantially. And even though El Cid only has 2 skills at S, we bumped them up to S tier because of just how freaking important rallying objectives and defending objectives really is. Our new additions on the list, by the way, include Alexander the Great, which, again, we think B+ with full infantry. C if you don't have full infantry. I think he's fine, but he's designed for the open field. He's got all that march speed, which is what that's really there for. We've also got Charlemagne in here at a B. Charlemagne's all about rallying stuff, not defending. They're not impressive. And Ethelfled we've got at a B-. Again, she's not really designed for this activity. We did elevate, however, our opinion of Charles Martel to an A+, and we do feel that Richard I with Charles Martel is a pretty freaking sweet combo for defending an objective. In a similar vein, we elevated Cao Cao because Khan Cao Cao is one of the best combos in the game, so we felt that Cao Cao deserved a little bit more love than we'd given him in the past, although there's really just that one configuration where I'd recommend him, which is the Khan Cao Cao combo. I guess you could be using Minamoto and Cao Cao, but I don't love it. I don't love it. So, my friends, there you have it. Our updates to the legendary tier list. It might not be perfect, but it is better than ever with the information that we got from KvK. And I'm eager to get more information about Constantine once we have a chance to actually play around with him a little bit, which should come soon, right? Should come soon now that they are in the Mighty Governor. And gosh, what does this mean for you as you're collecting your commanders? I have started to prioritize Khan. It's a commander I probably will expertise. As it turns out, in just a couple days from now, we're going to have new commanders in the game, which might be epic, might be legendary, so I'm saving sculptures, hard to say. But Khan is a commander that we will be thinking about investing in very, very soon. We also really liked Alexander the Great for their role in a murder ball, and that is a commander that probably should get some love. And, overall, I really think I overvalued Hannibal Barca slightly and undervalued Julius Caesar slightly. And the ratings now reflect what I think a more accurate picture of reality is. I also think that I gave Saladin perhaps a little more credence than I should have, although I will say, as more people get Saladin, as more people get Khan, I think the effectiveness of Richard I and Charles Martel will go down because we probably will see rallies on objectives that include Khan with Saladin to counter Richard I's healing. I hope you found this video helpful, my friends. If you did, like and subscribe. This takes a bit longer to prepare, so let me know if it was good and share the love. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.